I tell you, it's a beautiful spring day here in Northeast Ohio. We're planning on getting 60 degrees. There's Mike's little gas station, mobile gas station that he's working on. But we're over here in the other garage, and we're going to take a walk in here. And I tell you, I can tell Mike's always been in here, and it kind of, I wish he would keep the cover on this car. Very, very expensive car, and he always pulls the cover off to show people, and then we end up getting dust all over it from just sitting in here. Beautiful 70 Chevelle. We're going to take this to Maryland, so yeah, it's going to look good there. So I'm looking around here. I'll get the cover back on that, and here's the 69 Chevelle, and it has air shocks on it. And as you can see, she's sitting pretty low in the back there. So the air shocks are not working on this one. All right. And I'm not a fan of air shocks. I think you should put the correct spring under the car so that it has the right level for the right tire. And I'm not a fan of people who put air shocks on tires just to get the car up a little higher. So they can, make room for bigger tires. Like this tire's just, it's too big for this wheel well, to put it frankly. But hey, that's the look he wants. It's his car, and that's what we're going to work on. So here we go, the Heavy Chevy. It's kind of hard to tell right now, but he thinks it's setting too low in the back. Like I said, I'd go ahead and get new springs for the car. But he's going to go ahead and we're going to put air shocks on it today. So I got a lot of cars. It is looking kind of droopy in the back, but hey, I like the look. I wish he'd keep it just the way it is. So anyway, when I drive it, it's going to have this look, and I'll get some better looks. But I got to move some cars around so that I can get this 72 Chevelle out and the 69 Chevelle out. So let me figure this out. New bar now, and as you can see, we put the 66 back in the corner again. It's going to sit there for a while. One thing I do want to check out is the axle code on that 66 Chevy 2. Somebody asked me if it had a 12 bolt. Yes, it does have a 12 bolt. But now we're on the 69 car. And as you can see, the air shocks are out of air. And Mike brought out some other wheels that he'd like to put on here. These are another set of Kragers. I don't know if they're bigger or smaller, but at least they'll match. I mean, this one front to back, they don't match. He's got 14 in the back and 15 up front, so that kind of looks goofy anyway. But anyway, I'm gonna look and see if a fuse blew on, because this actually has an air pump so that you can adjust the height of the car. And right now it doesn't appear to have any power on it. So if you look down here, here's the adjuster, and you flick the switch on and nothing's going on. So let's figure that out first. All right, so I found a bad fuse on the pump, and it's trying. I hear some air moving, and we'll see if we're building any pressure here. Looks like we are, so that's a good thing. There we go. It's up to 80 or so PSI. So I'm going to turn that down a little bit if I can. There we go. That's it's got a release on it, and then it's got a switch on it. I can turn it off, and I should be able to set the regulator too. This knob's not quite working, but anyway, let's leave it there, and we'll get the wheels changed out. All right, there you go. We got the wheels changed out, and they need cleaned up and make sure it's got the right pressure on it. But I tell you, I don't know if Mike probably said this and I wasn't listening, but he said, take these spinners off And of course I put all the wheels on with these spinners on. So I had to come back off and change that around. But it doesn't matter, right, Tom Reitler? They're going to commit suicide anyway. These Kraggers and tires, they don't get along. It's an inside joke there between Tom and myself. We had one of these tires, a BF Goodrich, sitting on a Kragger SS, and it wasn't even on a tire, and it exploded in my garage one time. And Tom's not a big fan of Kraggers, so he said the tire committed suicide because it was on Kraggers, and we always joke about that. But anyway, I'm setting about 40 pounds on the air shocks, and the one thing I do like is that I've got a lot more room here for this tire to move up, and it's not gonna hit the lip there, and it'll actually go up into the wheel well, hitting bumps and whatnot. So that's one advantage of these 235s over, these 245s that you can see we had on there. Here, I'll roll one up there so you can see what it looks like. Ugh. Holding the camera and doing all this at the same time. You can see where that 245 would have been setting all the way up there, and now we're down here with the 235. So anyway, like I said, I'm not a fan of these Kraggers either. I'd rather have a stock wheel on there. But went ahead and checked the fittings on the air shock and made sure they were okay. And then it's got this little pump in here that can cycle and turn things on and off. And we're not going to be that fancy when it comes to the 72. We're just going to set that up with the air shocks with no pump. We're just going to put air in them. So, all right, we're going to switch cars around and get back to work. It's a beautiful day. There's Mike walking into the garage. It is a beautiful day here in Northern Ohio. 60 degrees. And the Orkin guy is here. So, all right, let's get back to work. Now we got the Heavy Chevy over here, and it was a little stubborn because the battery was dead, and had to didn't even start back up once I shut it off over here. So I got a battery charger back on it. But I think, to me, this thing sets just right. It's a little low in the back end, a little high in the front end, but Mike doesn't like that look. So we are going to put some air shocks back here, and we'll run you through that. So this is got 225/70 R14s on it, just so you know how that looks. Got her up in there. The thing I don't like about this project is we had a bad shock, and I replaced these rear shocks a while ago. So they've already got some GM shocks on here, and probably, like I said, if we change these rear springs out, I think that would pop it up a little bit. They're original springs on there. But anyway, we're going to put some air shocks on there, and I got them from Amazon. 1-day delivery. Hear that, U.S. Postal Service? If I get something from the U.S. Postal Service, I got to wait like 2 weeks. If I order for something from Amazon, I get it in a day. All right, so these are Monroe Matic air shocks. And the reason I went with these this time is they have about a 1/2 inch more travel than the Delco, AC Delcos that we had on Mike's. And when I had some really fat tires on the back end of Mike's, I could have used a 1/2 inch more on there. So anyway, we'll see how these are compared to the Delco shocks. But I got my my hose, I got my fittings, even got new mounts, which I don't think I have to use unless I have the wrong size bushing, because I've got new ones up there. All right, let's get on it. Day 2 here, working on the shock project. I didn't need 2 days. I'm only over here about 5 hours a day. But I got the shocks mounted. Okay, here's their shocks mounted. And you can see this one over here is mounted. And I use the transmission jack to kind of move the pumpkin up and down and get this for the final hookup. But now we got to hook up the lines. They're up here, so we got to run these air lines here. So, all right, I'm gonna get situated, get this transmission jack out of the way, and then we will get the lines run and figure out where we're gonna put them back here. We're gonna look for a mounting spot. I've seen, I don't know, it looks like, oh, look at that. There used to be air shocks on this car. I found a fitting there. So I guess that's where we're gonna use the mounting spot. I'll be darned. All right, now we gotta put the fittings together, and I've got them sitting on a little table with the camera here. So we've got these little tiny O-rings. Let me see if I can show you. There's the little O-ring, and it's got to fit on these tubes. So we got to make a little intermediate tube to go between the Schrader valve, which is going to get over here, Mark. The Schrader valve, which is going to get mounted to the back bumper. Okay, so I'm going to do a little pre-assembly here. All right, and get the little in-betweener. All right, here's the T where the two pipes from each shock are gonna come in. So we're gonna connect this up in the, oops. Yeah, go ahead and drop all this stuff, Mark. All right, we're gonna connect this in together. Pretty simple. Imagine all this stuff is, it's just hand tight. And as you tighten this up, it's gonna draw the O-ring. Here, maybe that's how you know. If you get the right little squeaky there, that's how you know you got it on right. But just, you know, right now I've got the O-ring there, and then it's got to seat and make a seal. You know, I'll get it to seat, and then I'll show you what happens with it. So it's just pushing on there, and then when you take it back apart, these are nice. You can take them apart, put them back together. You can see that the O-ring moved down into the hole there, and pretty simple. You can just pull it back out, push it back in. All right, pretty simple. They're kind of cheesy, but they should work. All right, so this is going to get mounted to the bumper, and we're going to connect these two up to the tubes coming from each shock. All right, so let me get that done. And I kind of ran these tubes up kind of underneath the gas tank, kind of cut the corner there. So I'll get this on my washer. I'll put the O-ring on there. Oh, put the fitting on first. All right, put the fitting on first. Make sure you put it the right way. I know you can't see what I'm doing over here, but, and then you got the T fitting. You're gonna connect up one side, and it's the same basic procedure that we used when I showed it to you on the bench there. Left the fitting over there for the other side, so like I say, don't forget to put the fitting on first. How are things going with you today? Hope they're going well today. It's going to be another 60-degree day here in Ohio. Should be pretty nice. We're getting closer and closer to opening day for the Guardians baseball. And yeah, I'm gonna be working down at the stadium again. I just love that. They actually pay me to watch baseball. That's what we all say. But be taking tickets and doing usher stuff. This year I think I'm gonna stick to taking tickets. I kind of enjoyed that because everybody is kind of happy to see you when they first get there. Once you get them up in their seats, they get a little crazy. You got to keep them under control. It's no big deal. It's fun. Like I say, hey, like pay me to watch baseball. How can you go? Major League Baseball. About the only teams I don't like to work at is when we play the Yankees. Their fans, they're bungholes. I don't know, there's no nicer way to put it. They're just bad. I don't know what it is, they're just obnoxious. Everybody else is a lot of fun. People come down from Toronto because that's a pretty quick drive. We get a lot of Yankee fans because we're pretty close to New York, maybe not downtown New York, but New York itself is not that far away. And we get a lot of Pittsburgh fans, get a lot of Detroit fans. The Toronto fans they're fun. They like to drink, and I can't believe they got the best beer up in Canada, and they come down and drink our swill, as one of my friends puts it. So there you go. We've got this all hooked up, and all we got to do is put air to the shocks now. So we got a little cap to put on here. It's not that hard of a job, really. The hard job is putting the shocks on, and I've already measured where we were at, and I think the front, and Mike was right, the front of this car was about 28.5 inches, and the back of the car was about 27.5 inches if I measure up to the top of the wheel well there. So let's get it back on the ground, and we'll show you where we're at now and see if we can get a little more of a rake down instead of a rake up. All right, so if we take a measurement of where we're at right now, I measured the front of the car, and I'll measure it again, but we are at 26.25, about 26.25. Let me go measure the front. 26.25, and up front, well, it's quite a bit higher. We're at 28. All right, so like I said, Mike was right. It's setting quite a bit lower in the back end. I've got the pressure regulator set at 100. You can go all the way up to 150 psi. So I'm going to go up to 100 psi. You can see the car raising up, and I can hear it filling. Not sure where it stops here. All right, looks like that's about where it stops, and I got it set at 100. So let's come back over here and measure this, and hopefully we can get this. All right, so now we're setting about 28.25. So it's about a quarter inch higher in the back. So we'll get outside and show you some shots of it, but I think Mike will like that. It's setting up pretty high right now, and I think that looks better.